Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. As we bid adieu to 2021, we watch it with icicles forming. Meanwhile, ice floes were floating down the Fraser. What will the school year be like in January? And we look back at this really crazy year. Our special guest this week includes Mayor Ken Popove in another edition of Councillor's Corner, Chilliwack City. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started. And our top story. In 6 months, we went from record heat and a heat dome of some 42 degrees to a shivering minus 16 with wind chills into the minus 20s. Extra space for the homeless opened up at the Cyrus Center. That was for youth. And for the adults, Ruth and Naomi's and Salvation Army. Warming centers were set up at both downtown and Sardis libraries as well as Evergreen Hall. Ice floes were spotted on the Fraser River. All this after a freak Christmas Day blizzard. And to top it all off, because of the weather as well as COVID, the school system is now going to be delayed somewhat, with staff and special needs kids going back January the 3rd, and all the other students going back January the 10th, with staggered classes. Cultus Lake Park Board was to see restoration along the foreshore as debris continues to be removed from Sunnyside Campground, the pathway and main beach foreshores, as well as the mouth of the Sweltzer Creek, where the boom is located, and that's all from this past November storm. Now, the Sunnyside cleanup has been postponed this past week. That was because of that cold snap we had. The Christmas blizzard ripped apart that umbrella art project behind the Chilliwack Bookman. It had just been completed for Christmas Eve. Owner Amber Price took it all in stride and with the great quote, "We will rebuild." New Year's Day is going to be rung in with the annual ceremony to the river, and again, it's organized by Eddie Gardner. It'll be at the same place and time this year, 11 a.m. New Year's Day at just off the parking lot of the Vedder River Trail. Now, Eddie will be leading offerings to the trees planted on the site in 2021 with songs to the river, as well as songs to the salmon, the cedar, and of course, all our relations. The New Year's Day Hope Polar Bear Swim at Kakwa Lake was canceled due to COVID gathering restrictions. Organizer Brian McKinney was disappointed, but now his attention turns to the 40th anniversary of the release of the first Rambo movie, First Blood, which was filmed in Hope and the Othello Tunnels. With his regular update on Council's Corner, Chilliwack Mayor Ken Popove. chillTV continuing with Councillor's Corner, Chilliwack City, and the last edition for this 2021 with Mayor Ken Popove. First off, Ken, snow removal, and especially when you're helping out your neighbors when it comes to the rules of the road, or the rules of the sidewalk, I guess, and helping out the oldies.
Exactly, Don. I'm glad you brought that up. But before we dive into that, I'd like to thank our operations staff. Every truck that we had that can have a plow attached to it was out on the streets 3 or 4 a.m. working hard. I applaud their efforts. I know a lot of them, they actually missed out on Christmas because of the time that they had to put in, but we got a great crew, so I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart to keep everybody safe here in Chilliwack. But as far as the sidewalks, that's one of those cranky Ken things that yeah, it's not that tough to I realize some people can't physically do that, but for folks that have no or the only mobility or have mobility challenges, it's pretty tough to traverse on a snow-filled sidewalk. I pass so many people that are on the side of the road, and it's just not safe. And thank God nobody's been hit yet that I know of. But just pay your neighbor's kid $10 to shovel the sidewalk, or just do it yourself if you're able. So yeah, please do the right thing on that and clean your sidewalks in front of your house, your business, and that sort of thing.
A post-flood update with sandbags. Are we still picking them up, or are we getting rid of them now? And as well as the flood and storm survey that the city has up on its website.
Yeah, the sandbags, we're accepting them back at Townsend Park, from which they came from. We're asking people to unload the sand. The ops team will actually test it. If it's contaminated, obviously they can't use it. If it's not contaminated, operations will use it. as far as the burlap saps, they will be composted. So yeah, that's part of it. Second to that is a survey that we want to put out there to the folks of Chilliwack, and through the snow issues, the flood issues, and what they found that we did good and what we didn't do good, what we can do better at. We want to collect this data and then sit down and shake it out and be a little more prepared for the next series of whatever hits us. And if you go to engage at chilliwack.com and put in your comments, please do. We'd love to hear from you.
We have the thorny issue of Christmas trees, and what do we do and how do we get rid of them?
Well, for me, just leave them in the ground. Get a fake one. It's a lot easier to box up and put away, and it's better for the environment. It cleans the air. But I'm sure there's going to be chipping stations set up. Parr Road will probably be set up as well. I know there's some fundraising activities that do happen with that. I'm not sure if it's a Rotary or a Kinsman or something like that. I actually haven't heard of anything as of yet, but just stay tuned. I'm sure through our communication staff, we'll get some information for folks just to compost them in the proper way, not throw them, off your truck into the weeds or whatever. So yeah, just stay tuned for that.
And I know this is always a burr in your side when we talk about Canada Day and Halloween. We have New Year's Eve coming up and fireworks, and they haven't become legal yet.
Yeah, and I've talked to the area chiefs that are selling them on their properties, and yes, in Chilliwack proper, if you are caught with fireworks, it's a pretty hefty fine. But the big problem there is to try to stop the source, and so far, us as a city hasn't been able to do that. We will endeavor to keep asking that question, because it's it scares the animals, it scares the old folks. It's been here, done that. Do something different, but yeah, it's an issue. But we will continue to work at it, and chip away, and maybe for next year we'll have some positive results.
And hopefully next year is a little quieter than this year. Councillor's Corner, Chilliwack City, Mayor Ken Popove, thanks again and Happy New Year.
Thanks, Don, and I concur. My hair's gone a couple of shades of gray. It's been a hell of a couple of years, and let's hope 22 is a positive one. And stay safe, everybody, and Happy New Year to you and yours, and to you, Don, and your team at chillTV. It's always a pleasure to be on air with you guys.
Thank you, Ken. And you're watching chillTV's News of the Week. Looking back at 2021, and this was a wild year on many fronts. The November floods. Local Abbotsford radio was criticized for not breaking automated formats for updating when the initial atmospheric river flooded the Sumas Prairie and parts of Yarrow. From the heat dome to record cold, we went from 42 degrees Celsius to minus 16 in just 6 months. We had the wildfires as they raged and Lytton burned to the ground. Meanwhile, fires were covering Harrison in smoke. It was year 2 of COVID from the Delta variant to Omicron. There was a testy and outright nasty school board by-election, Dr. Karen Bondar beating Hofstede's Richard Prosey in one of the largest by-election turnouts in history. While there were calls for school trustee Barry Neufeld to resign in light of comments over SOGI 123 and verbal attacks on trustee and then board chair Willow Reichelt, he was then seen on a live Zoom school board meeting, lighting up a smoke, drinking some wine, and then he fell asleep. Jared Mumford replacing Willow Reichelt as school board chair. After 2 votes, the Chilliwack Progress called into question the validity of the first vote, as DPAC and the public were apparently unaware that the first vote was even held and to be put on Zoom. So the board said there were technical issues and a second vote was held, with the same result as the first. The horror of the discovery of 215 bodies in a mass grave in Kamloops at a residential school there, and then monies becoming available for a search of the Kokalitsa grounds at Stalo headquarters. Kokalitsa had a residential school, and this was in Sardis. A federal election that many said was really not needed, but the results were virtually the same. Justin Trudeau remains Prime Minister. Mark Strahl remains Chilliwack Hope MP. After heated debate on the fate of the Hope train station, a private investor steps up to save the day, but the new site has yet to be totally secure. The man known as the Abbotsford Killer, 56-year-old Terry Driver, died. He was serving a life sentence after he was convicted in 1997 of the brutal killing of 16-year-old Tanya Smith and the attempted murder of her friend, 15-year-old Misty Cockrell. This was in October of 1995. Both were bludgeoned with a baseball bat. Driver, according to Corrections Canada, died of natural causes inside Kent Institution. Gabriel Klein, who murdered 13-year-old Letitia Reimer at her Abbotsford High School in 2016, was found criminally responsible after his application for not criminally responsible was denied. Another 13-year-old girl was seriously injured in that attack. She survived. Her name was never released due to privacy rules. From the effects of COVID rules and rising costs and property taxes, Tractor Grease Cafe closed its doors forever. District 1881, the downtown revitalization, opened its first phase. The results were instant as shoppers and patrons started coming back to the downtown core. April 16th was the 130th anniversary of the first edition of the Chilliwack Progress, the oldest community newspaper in British Columbia. And with 2021 sports, Chilliwack's international soccer phenom Jordan Huitema and the Canadian women's soccer team winning gold at the postponed Tokyo Olympic Games. GW Graham Grizzlies football program winning the BC High School Boys AAA title. They were in AA for many years. This was their first year in AAA. The Vancouver Canucks moving their Utica farm team to Abbotsford. And some great sports news for the Sardis Drumline. That story is coming up after the weather. And last but not least, we had a sad time here in the summer around chillTV as we lost our mascot, Lola the dog. chillTV Sports, the BC Hockey League announcing updates to the regular season schedule, including the rescheduling of previously postponed games due to flooding and travel issues and then the recent snow in the province. The league has removed all out-of-conference games in an attempt to avoid any further travel issues for the rest of the winter. As expected, with the weather, the Chilliwack FC soccer schedule and practices were postponed. The hope is by Sunday, when this Arctic front finally backs off, soccer can resume on the pitch. That is assuming the pitches can thaw out. chillTV weather, the Arctic front is finally done, and by Sunday, the snow should be washing away with rain and the high of 3. If you'd like to participate in reporting news in Chilliwack and you have a story you think we should know about, you can always drop us a note at news@chilltv.ca. We'd love to hear from you. That's the news this week, and I'm Don Lehn. On behalf of chillTV, have a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2022. And we leave you with the Sardis Drumline in this excerpt from the 2021 Rotary Christmas Show. You may recall they have now become the official drumline for the Vancouver Canucks at Rogers Arena. Happy New Year.